All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and get this kicked off. We're a minute or two behind, but that's pretty good for us getting started this time of year. I call the meeting of the House Higher Education Committee to order this afternoon. Thank everybody for coming. We do have a quorum. We have members online. We're still using the hybrid model to allow people to get about. We have two items that we're going to hear this afternoon. One of them is in a position that we'll be able to move on it, subject to the committee. HB 1515. We'll hear a second presentation. And if there's anyone that didn't make it because we were behind schedule yesterday, we'd take comment on that from them. With that, we'll go straight away to the Secretary of the Committee, Representative Patty Bentley. Can you tell us again quickly about HB 1515?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Higher Education Committee this afternoon. I bring to you once again House Bill 1515 relating to institutions that were previously accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, better known as SACS. And that is now accredited by the Transnational Association of Christian Colleges and Schools, TRACS, to be considered an approved school for purposes of tuition equalization grants. House Bill 1515 will only impact two schools in Georgia, and they are Morris Brown College and Payne College. They are both historically Black colleges and universities. And this passage of House Bill 1515 will allow these students to utilize the Hope Scholarships at these Christian colleges. And again, this bill will only impact two, and that's Morris Brown and Payne College. So I'm asking for your favorable consideration to pass House Bill 1515 on to rules.
Thank you, Representative. I do want to add one further thing, just so everybody knows, both Morris Brown and Payne have been previously accredited by SACS. Some things changed, and with the current environment at post-secondary institutions, the accreditation is less geographical than it is. I would, for lack of a better term, I'll say topical. So it's not uncommon that schools would be accredited by, I believe you said TRACS is what you were using,
right,
than
right.
SACS. So that could be. So both of these schools had, in the interest of complete disclosure, another school in the future could be eligible for this, Carver College, but they are not currently accredited by SACS or TRACS at this point. So the Secretary is right. Representative Bennett is right. This would only impact two schools, and the estimate on this is that there would be less than 200 students that would potentially be affected. So it would not be a tremendous burden, on Hope, and it would be getting this to the students would have to meet all the requirements that everyone else has. Does the committee have any questions of the author of the measure, online or virtually? Representative Park, out there?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Bentley, I just wanted to thank you for the bill. Is it not true that this bill would help ensure that two historically Black colleges are moving in the right direction, and that the students who attend those colleges would be eligible for Hope, just like any other college or university that's accredited? Is that not true?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion to pass.
Yeah, just hang on. Let's just make sure we don't have anybody who wants to talk to us, but we'll come right back to you, Representative. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If there are no further questions, I will. Normally, we don't do this on our second hearing on an item that hasn't changed, but since we were late yesterday and folks might have had to leave, I would ask: is there anyone that wishes to make a comment? I always used to ask back at city times if you can be for it, against it, or not sure, and we'd still invite your comments on the measure. Anyone? We do have then I'll close off our public comment and go back to the.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank Representative Bentley for this. This is really going to be a bill that will move our students forward in higher education. Morris Brown and Payne College are two of the universities that need all kinds of assistance. And with this and the students being eligible, I am going to make sure that a very dear friend of mine, Robert James, who's the president of Carver State Bank, know about this bill. I'm sure that he will be excited, very excited. Thank you very much. And
Yeah, yes, sir. Representative Park. Did you want to move the item?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I move do pass.
I have a motion do pass on House Bill 1515, LC 500355. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second to just move forward with the do pass recommendation. Is there any discussion? Discussion on this motion, do pass recommendation on House Bill 1515, I should say. Any discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. I hear no opposition. It moves forward with unanimous approval of the committee to rules. We have another item on the agenda that I'm going to ask Representative Metz to introduce to us. I mentioned it to the committee briefly yesterday, and we do have a bit, just some, I guess, some wording that we want to tweak on the resolution that doesn't change it greatly. So we'll need to come back and hear it another time. And we plan to do that next week. But without further delay, Representative Metz, will you tell us about HR 898?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Well, it's very, very simple. This resolution is to, I'm really asking that we recognize and condemn threats of violence against HBCUs and to reaffirm support for HBCUs and their students and for other purposes. I'm quite sure that most of you have heard of the threats that was against the HBCUs. And I have a copy here of the where the FBI has identified suspects. I think most of you have seen where they have actually identified suspects accused of making these threats. And it's my understanding that the investigation is ongoing. So, in a few words, just to reaffirm and condemn violence against our HBCUs.
I thank the lady for her presentation. And again, this is something that I think we could all agree on. Any threat, whether it was made with intent or not, is disruptive to the students, the faculty, the administration, and the whole campus community surrounding that. And it's nothing that we should have in this country against any institution. So we'll bring this back before the committee. Next week, we're going to just make a change or so to I'd asked the representative if she would agree with me. I think we'll list and get a copy to each one of the institutions, and we'll make that note
Right.
in the resolution and bring it back before you for action next week.
And
If
Mr.
any-
Chair, if I could say
Yes, ma'am.
something else, there is a very interesting article in the Chronicle of Higher Education. Yeah, it's by Dr. John Silverless Wilson, the former president of Morehouse and also the former executive director of the White House HBCUs. And one of the things that he said that struck me, he said that our HBCUs really need to assess the firmness of the ground upon which they stand. Save the colony. And I referred to a book that I read some time ago, Our Iceberg is Melting by Dr. John Coder. And I said, what I'm going to do is to share that with my friends at the HBCUs, because the question is our ice melting? And if so, we need to really assess where we are and plan for the future.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. I would ask at this time, is there anyone that wishes to speak to the resolution? If not, I will allow public comment when we come back next week with a final wording, if we do that. If there's no one that wishes to speak, that we'll hold that over. We'll make those changes and bring that back before the committee. That concludes the business of the committee today. Is there anything for the good of the order? Anything? If not, we'll stand adjourned if there's no objection. Without objection, we're adjourned.